Hai capito? Chi è sta amico suo? Chi è sta gente? Te ne vuoi andare e devo piappire.
State fermo! Calma, signori cercano, questa è gente educata. Questa è gente educata.
Che cazzo te ridi?
The movie kicks off in the gritty streets of Tor Bella Monica, a rough neighborhood on the outskirts of Rome. We meet Enzo Taccati, a petty criminal who spends his days swiping whatever he can to get by. One day, he pulls off a risky heist, stealing a high-end watch and immediately getting chased by the cops. He climbs up, hoping to lose the police in the shadows. But the cops are quick, too quick. With no options left, Enzo takes a wild leap into the river, hoping it'll help him disappear. He doesn't know it yet, but this stuff is radioactive. Enzo pulls himself out, coughing like crazy, but he manages to get away without getting caught. The ride back home is rough. Enzo's not feeling right. He starts hacking up thick, black goo and looks like he's about to pass out. That night, things go downhill fast. He vomits up more of that gross liquid and can't stop coughing. Strangely, the next morning is a different story. Enzo wakes up feeling like a brand new man. No pain, no fever, just weirdly energetic. He shrugs it off and goes about his day like nothing happened. He heads next door to see his sketchy neighbor Sergio, another low-level thug who happens to be mixed up with some dangerous folks. Enzo wants to offload the fancy watch he stole. Sergio agrees to take it off his hands for €100. But Sergio's not done with him yet. He ropes Enzo into helping out with a shady job. They've got a lead on some drugs being smuggled in by two brothers, and Sergio wants Enzo to tag along in case things go sideways. Before heading out, the two stop by Sergio's place to pick up some gear. That's where Enzo meets Sergio's daughter, Alessia. She's got some serious mental health issues and doesn't really function in the real world anymore. Instead, she lives in the universe of an anime show called Steel Jig, convinced it's real life. She even thinks she's one of the characters. Sergio tells Enzo her mind slipped even more after her mom died. She's been like this ever since. They make their way to a half-built building to meet the smugglers. But the deal goes south fast. One of the brothers overdoses when a drug packet inside him bursts. Sergio refuses to take him to a hospital.
Tocca aprirlo. Che cazzo fai?
The dying man still manages to shoot Enzo in the shoulder, sending him flying off the building. Somehow, Enzo survives the fall. Meanwhile, back in the city, the gang boss Fabio Cannavaro, nicknamed the Gypsy, is partying at a club. He was expecting Sergio to deliver the drugs to a powerful drug lord named Nunia, who's a high-ranking member of a mafia crew called Camorra. But now that Sergio and both smugglers are dead, Fabio's in hot water. Still, he lies to Nunia's face, saying everything's gone perfectly. Back at his apartment, Enzo drags himself home, still bleeding but alive. He runs into Alessia in the hallway. She asks about her dad, but Enzo ignores her. He just wants to crawl into his apartment and pass out. Alessia won't give up, though. She keeps knocking on his door. Annoyed, Enzo punches the wall in frustration. Only to see his fist go right through the solid wood like it was made of paper. Stunned, he tests out his strength. He starts tossing heavy furniture around like it's made of foam. Turns out, whatever radioactive junk he stepped in gave him more than a fever. It gave him superpowers. That night, he decides to use his new strength for a little side hustle. The next day, Enzo's wound is gone. He's fully healed like nothing ever happened. That's when things get messy again. Fabio and his crew show up at the apartment complex looking for Sergio. They corner Alessia and start threatening her. They think Sergio skipped town with the drugs and want answers. One guy even raises a knife, ready to mess up her face if she doesn't talk.
Che ha capito? Chi è sta amico suo? Chi è sta gente? Te ne vornate devo piappire.
State fermo! Calma, signori cercano, questa è gente educata. Questa è gente educata.
Che cazzo devi dire? Fuori, raga!
They don't stand a chance. But Fabio manages to land one hit before fleeing. He slices Enzo's foot and chops off a toe. Enzo takes Alessia to his place to keep her safe. He tapes the toe back on, hoping it'll magically reattach by morning. Alessia, in her anime-obsessed mind, is convinced Enzo is her favorite superhero from Steel Jig, finally come to rescue her. Instead of telling her otherwise, Enzo just plays along. It seems easier that way. The next day, Enzo checks the toe. It's still not reattached. He realizes he can't take care of Alessia, so he gently asks if she has any other family. She doesn't. Her dad was all she had. Enzo takes her to the residential home where she stayed while Sergio was in prison. She doesn't want to go, but he promises to return. Not long after, the footage of Enzo yanking out that ATM hits the internet. It goes viral fast. Fabio sees the clip and instantly knows who it is. The same guy who wrecked his men at Sergio's place. Now Fabio's starting to panic. The drugs are still missing. Nunia is expecting her cut, and this mystery man is becoming a big problem. Fabio's second in command, Antonio, suggests taking out a loan to pay off Nunia and keep her happy for now. But Fabio's not into that idea. He wants to fix the situation the only way he knows how, through violence. So he decides to pull off an armored truck heist to get the money they need and stay in the game. Originally, Enzo and Sergio were planning something big after the drug deal, but things had taken such a bad turn that Enzo was left to piece things together himself. At Sergio's place, while going through the mess he left behind, Enzo stumbled upon a pile of documents. One of them laid out a step-by-step plan to rob an armored cash truck. It was detailed and clearly something they were preparing for. That plan stuck in Enzo's head. The following day, Fabio and his gang gathered on the side of a highway, all geared up and ready to carry out the very same heist. But before they could even move in, Enzo beat them to it. Later, back at his apartment, Enzo heard a knock at the door. It was the police. Turns out, Alessia had run away from her care home and was found wandering around the streets looking for him. The officers brought her back, and Enzo let her in, though he was annoyed that she'd brought attention to his doorstep. He scolded her, frustrated that she might have blown his cover. She looked hurt and said she was just sad he hadn't visited like he promised. Trying to patch things up, that night, they curled up on the couch and watched her favorite anime show together. Enzo tried to get closer to her emotionally, just trying to be there for her. But out of nowhere, Alessia pulled away, visibly shaken. She begged him to stop, terrified he might hurt her. Enzo gently tried to calm her down. That's when she told him something deeply painful. She had been sexually abused in the past, and the trauma still haunted her. The next morning, Alessia, still believing Enzo is some kind of superhero, tells him that he has to go save her father. Enzo, not knowing how to explain that Sergio is already gone, instead takes her out to lift her mood. Meanwhile, things between Fabio and his right-hand man, Antonio, are heating up. Antonio once again brings up the idea of taking a loan to settle things with Nunia, but Fabio isn't having it. He loses his temper. In a fit of madness, sicks his dogs on Antonio. Back with Enzo and Alessia, they go shopping at a mall where she finally gets to try on a princess dress she's always dreamed of. Caught up in the moment, they end up kissing and even sleeping together in one of the changing rooms. But after the intimacy, Enzo finally tells her the truth about her dad's death. Alessia is devastated. She lashes out at him, blaming him for not protecting Sergio. Around this time, news about the armored truck robbery starts making the rounds on TV. People are buzzing about a masked vigilante with unbelievable strength. Enzo's face is mostly hidden, but his reputation as a mystery supercriminal is building fast. Fabio sees this and becomes furious. He's consumed with envy and starts obsessing over the idea of getting powers of his own. Alessia, overwhelmed by everything, tries to run away again. She hops on a tram, trying to escape.
Oh, ma questo è il supercriminale!
He apologizes and begs her to stay. She agrees, but only if he promises to always wear his mask from now on. Just as they reconcile, Enzo notices people filming him with their phones. He panics, realizing his powers have been caught on camera again. Without wasting a second, he grabs Alessia and bolts. Fabio, out of money and options, finally tries to meet with a drug dealer friend to borrow cash so he can pay off Nunia. But before the deal even starts,
Come una sigaretta.
Che vuoi?
Fabio gets away and returns to his base, only to discover Nunia's men have wiped out the rest of his gang. While watching the news later, Fabio sees footage of this super criminal again and instantly recognizes Enzo. That's when he decides he needs answers. He wants to know where the powers came from and how to get them. Meanwhile, Enzo and Alessia, realizing it's too dangerous to stick around, flee the city. They hide out in a hotel where Enzo finally opens up. He tells her about the worst day of his life, a robbery gone wrong during his childhood that left all his friends dead. It's a memory that's been tormenting him for years.
Sto cazzo!
When Enzo wakes up, he's tied to a bed. Fabio's standing over him, threatening to kill Alessia unless Enzo spills the secret of his strength. Left with no choice, Enzo agrees to take him to the river where the whole thing began. At the riverbank, Enzo tells Fabio to jump in if he wants powers. Fabio gets suspicious, thinks it's a setup. But before he can act, Nunia and her team show up again and unload on them.
Te posso dare una mattina sul vestitino.
Alessia!
Alessia dies in Enzo's arms, asking him with her last breath to use his powers to help others, not hurt them. Fabio, though still alive, is badly burned. Nunia sets his body on fire and dumps it into the river. The next morning, Fabio crawls out of the water, burned but alive. The radioactive junk worked on him too. Now he's just as powerful as Enzo. Driven by pure hatred, he heads straight to Nunia's hideout and massacres everyone inside.
Cincin. Azione.
While digging around, he finds a stash of explosives and realizes Nunia was planning to bomb the city. Meanwhile, Enzo is walking the streets, completely crushed by Alessia's death. As he walks, he spots a woman and her daughter trapped in a burning car after a crash.
Aspetta un po', ma quello non è lui.
The mother thanks him, and Enzo remembers Alessia's dying wish to use his powers for good. Just then, Enzo sees a news report. Fabio is threatening to blow up the Stadio Olimpico during a major event. With the city at risk, Enzo springs into action. He heads to the stadium, already packed with thousands of people. He spots Fabio in the parking lot with a remote detonator. They fight, but Fabio slips away into the crowd. Enzo keeps hunting and eventually finds the bomb inside an ambulance. Realizing there's no time to disarm it, he grabs it and races toward a bridge over the river. Fabio appears again, and the two battle it out in a brutal final fight. The explosion is massive. Fabio dies instantly. His head lands on the bridge, proof of the destruction. Enzo is presumed dead too. The public mourns the hero they barely knew. But in the final scene, we see him, alive, sitting quietly at the Colosseum. He holds the handmade mask Alessia once gave him and puts it on, ready to carry on as the silent guardian she believed in.